You know, every single one of those massive container ships crossing the ocean, it's protected by this huge invisible system. It's a global rule book with thousands of regulations that dictate literally everything, from the thickness of the steel hull to the type of paint used in one tiny room. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on that system. And our story, like so many stories about safety at sea, starts with a total catastrophe. April 14th, 1912, the RMS Titanic, on its very first voyage, hits an iceberg and sinks. More than 1,500 people died in that freezing water, and what made it so much worse was the shocking lack of lifeboats and just deeply flawed safety thinking. The world woke up and realized that our technology couldn't outpace our caution. Something had to change, and it had to change for everyone. And that change was SOLAS. It stands for Safety of Life at Sea. Born directly from the tragedy of the Titanic, it is without a doubt the single most important treaty for ship safety on the entire planet. The best way to think of it is like a giant shared instruction manual for the whole global shipping industry, and it's constantly being updated with the lessons learned from every accident since. Okay, so let's dive in. Because you can't really grasp a system this massive by trying to look at the whole thing at once. So instead, we're going to zoom way in on just a couple of incredibly specific rules to see how they stop disasters from happening every single day. And this right here, this is the core idea of what we're talking about today. See, large-scale safety isn't about some grand sweeping gesture. It's about an almost obsessive, meticulous attention to the tiniest details. So we're going to look at just two of those details, an emergency fire pump and a battery room. I know. It sounds kind of mundane, right? But stick with me, because this is where lives are actually saved. First up, the emergency fire pump. Every large ship is required to have one. Think of it as the absolute last line of defense. It's for when the main engine room, which is the heart of the ship's firefighting system, is on fire itself or is just completely out of action. Its one and only job is to work when everything else has already failed. And just look at the precision here. SOLAS doesn't just say, hey, you should have a backup pump. No, it specifies exactly how it needs to be built and where it has to be. It has to be located outside the engine room, obviously, so a fire in there can't destroy it. It needs its own separate seawater intake, so it's not relying on the main systems that might already be damaged. And notice that last line. It even specifies the exact minimum water pressure it has to generate. 2.7 bar. I mean, that seems incredibly specific, doesn't it? Why that number? Why not 3 or 2.5? Well, it is not arbitrary at all. It's a number that translates directly into whether a crew member can effectively fight a fire or not. And here's why it matters so much. 2.7 bar is the minimum pressure you need to shoot two powerful jets of water at least 12 meters. What does that really mean? It means the crew can attack the flames from a safe distance, staying out of the worst of the heat and the danger. If the pressure was just a little bit lower, that stream of water might fall short. So that tiny decimal point in a rulebook, that can be the difference between controlling a fire and having to abandon ship. You might have also noticed that term GRT on the chart, which stands for gross tonnage. This is another one of those key technical terms, and it has nothing to do with how much a ship weighs. It's all about its total internal volume, basically just how big it is on the inside. And a lot of SOLAS rules, well, they're scaled based on GRT because, let's face it, fighting a fire on a massive 6,000 GRT vessel requires a whole different level of power than on a much smaller ship. All right, let's shift gears. From a mechanical system, let's jump over to an electrical one for our second case study, the emergency battery room. This room is the ship's absolute last resort power source. Just imagine a total blackout in the middle of the ocean. No lights, no navigation, no communication, nothing. It's a terrifying thought. So SOLAS requires a system that kicks in instantly. The very moment the main power goes out, these batteries automatically connect to what's called the emergency switchboard and start powering the most critical systems. And that word automatic is everything. Because in a crisis, the last thing you want is for someone to have to remember to go and flip a switch. Now, a room packed with massive batteries, well, that comes with its own set of very serious dangers. When these batteries are charging, they can release hydrogen gas, which is incredibly explosive. And that's why SOLAS requires another super specific piece of hardware, explode lighting.
This is not just a regular light bulb. It's a special explosion-proof fixture. It's designed so that if the bulb inside ever failed and created a spark, the entire fixture is built to contain that spark, to smother it, and prevent it from igniting the gas in the room and causing a catastrophic explosion.
The list of rules for this one room is just a masterclass in preventing risk. The walls have to be coated in special acid-resistant paint. The whole design has to make sure no battery acid can spill out. And then you have the rules for what people can do in there. No smoking, of course, no naked lights, and my personal favorite, no playing cards. I mean, why no playing cards? It really gets to the core mindset of SOLAS. You have to eliminate every single potential risk, no matter how tiny or unlikely it seems. A card game could be a distraction. Heck, it could create static electricity. The rule is there because safety at this level leaves absolutely nothing to chance. So we've been looking at pump pressure and light fixtures, all these microscopic details. Let's zoom back out. Why does all of this matter so much?
It matters because every single sentence in the SOLAS regulations is a scar. Take this line right out of the rulebook. It sounds so dry and technical, doesn't it? But it exists because somewhere at some point in time, a battery spilled electrolyte or created a spray that led to a complete disaster. Every word is a preventative measure, written with the terrible benefit of hindsight.
And that's really the thing to remember here. SOLAS isn't just a book of rules, it's a library of lessons. Every single specification, from the kind of paint on a wall to the amount of pressure in a pipe, is a direct response to a failure that cost people their lives. It's a living system designed to make sure the mistakes of the past are never, ever repeated.
It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? As you go about your day, just think about the countless other invisible safety systems out there. The meticulous rules for buildings, for airplanes, for all the infrastructure that protects us. What other unseen systems are quietly working in the background, just keeping our world from falling apart?